Hi everyone, Dr. Hall here. We're going to do the pleura and lungs today. So I've already started off with the trachea and the left main bronchus and the right main bronchus. Fun fact, the right main bronchus tilts a little bit more inferiorly than horizontally. So if something is aspirated, right, if somebody chokes, something is more likely to go into the right main bronchus than the left. Now we're going to go ahead and add in the lobes of the lungs. We're going to start with the inferior lobes. Now the inferior lobes, interestingly, if you ask me, they should probably have been named the posterior lobes because they are more posterior than they are inferior. So the inferior lobes are these kind of large wedges. They come all the way down to the diaphragm. Now we're going to add the superior lobes, and on the left side, those are the only two lobes we're going to have, the superior and the inferior lobes, and this fissure between them is called the oblique fissure. Oblique means diagonal. On the right lung, we also have a superior lobe, but in addition, we have a middle lobe. So on the right lung, it's different. We have a horizontal fissure here and an oblique fissure down here. So we have two fissures because we have three lobes. The other feature I want to show to you on this view are the phrenic nerves. So the phrenic nerves are traveling down from up in the neck. They're going to cross anterior to the bronchi and come down inferiorly to innervate the diaphragm. So it is the phrenic nerves that receive those signals from your medulla oblongata to go ahead and contract the diaphragm. The other thing that we can see in this view are the costodiaphragmatic recesses. So if we had a rib cage here, it would be like this. And so this little triangle here is the costodiaphragmatic recess, these little corners, one on each side as that dome of the diaphragm comes down and attaches to the side body. So costodiaphragmatic recess there. So now we need to add in the pulmonary vessels. And in order to really see where they are, we're going to take a look at the medial surface of the lungs, or the hilar surfaces of the lungs. So I'm going to go ahead and put in the main bronchi, where those would be located. And you can see that there are some other colored structures here. So here's my main bronchus on this side. This, oops, it's kind of falling down. Let me put another one in. This little bright yellow-green thing is meant to represent a hilar lymph node. We also have a tiny little artery that's going to course right alongside the bronchus, and that's going to be the bronchial artery. I'm now going to add in my pulmonary artery, which is going to be superior to the bronchus. And remember, the pulmonary artery definition of an artery is it's carrying blood away from the heart. This is bringing blood from the right side of the heart, so it's deoxygenated, so blue blood. And then inferiorly, we are going to have the superior and inferior pulmonary veins, right? So bringing oxygenated or red blood back to the lungs. Let's go ahead and add those on the other side. So our pulmonary artery is superior to the bronchus. Our pulmonary veins are more inferior. I've got another lymph node to add in here. So again, as we look at the hilum, we're going to find our pulmonary artery up top, bringing deoxygenated blood to the lungs, our bronchus with its bronchial artery, pulmonary veins, and we're going to have some hilar lymph nodes. So if I put those back in situ, you can see that is roughly how they would be, and the phrenic nerves are going to travel anterior to all of these structures. They travel anterior to the blood vessels. The last piece of this puzzle is the pleura. So the pleura is a thin, slippery membrane that covers the surface of the lung as the visceral pleura, And then it doubles back and covers the inside of the rib cage as the parietal pleura. So we'll go ahead and add that on the other side. So the visceral pleura is directly adherent to the lungs, and then it doubles back around and forms the parietal pleura. So let's review. Parietal pleura lining the inside of the rib cage. Visceral pleura directly adherent to the surface of the lung. Oh, there we go. We've got our phrenic nerves coming down, traveling anterior to the root of the lungs, anterior to the hilum of the lungs. Hilum and root mean the same thing, innervating the diaphragm. Go ahead and remove those. Superior lobe, oblique fissure, inferior lobe, superior lobe, horizontal fissure, oblique fissure, middle lobe, and inferior lobe on the right. And as we look at the hilum, we have the pulmonary artery, most superior. We have the bronchus with its bronchial artery, some lymph nodes, and the two pulmonary veins. Same thing on the other side. Oh, my pulmonary artery fell off. There we go. So pulmonary artery, bronchus, hilar lymph nodes, bronchial artery, and pulmonary veins. And that's it for the lungs and the pleura.